Hello and welcome to the Skating Lesson Podcast, where we interview influential people from the world of figure skating so they can share with us the lessons they learned along the way. I'm Jennifer Kirk, a former U.S. ladies competitor and a 3-time world team member.
I'm David Lees. I was never competing at nationals, and after last night, I'm not sure if I really want to, but I am a figure skating blogger and current adult skater. Today, we are thrilled to welcome Miki Yamashita and Tim Goebel to the podcast.
Yay.
Hi, everybody.
We are just going to break down the ladies' competition at U.S. Nationals for you. We haven't discussed it with each other, so it's going to be one of those barn burner conversations on The View. So I hope that you all just enjoy and send us your feedback. If you agree with us, don't agree with us, think that we're awful people, but I think today is all about honesty.
I agree. All right, so let's get into it. Let's start with you, Miki. What did you take? What was your takeaway from last night?
I have to say that I spent pretty much all night trying to fathom what the heck happened, especially in the last 15, 20 minutes. I feel like after what I saw and all the ladies that I saw, I feel like the judges took a bunch of pieces of paper, cut them up, wrote numbers on them, and then threw them on the ice like confetti, and those were the results.
So, like, just all over the place. And Tim?
I don't understand how if as a lifetime skating fanatic, if I can't figure out what the scores mean, then how is any random schmo off the street supposed to get excited about skating?
They don't. Tim, what are your takes? What did you take?
I think it was an interesting result last night. I don't necessarily... I feel very strongly that the rank order of the results do not reflect the programs that were performed.
Okay. I think we can all agree with that. And Dave,
oh, yeah.
Dave, your opening comment?
My opening comment was that when the results came in last night, I thought, instead of being outraged, because I have some distance from it, not having competed at nationals, I thought it was just hilarious, and I was like, oh, this is done. This is done. And then to see Sandra and Scott sit there and be like, oh, well, Gracie, she has such exuberance, or whatever Sandra was trying to say. And it was almost payback for them, because so much of what we have now is because they threw such a hissy at the pairs in Salt Lake City. And I felt like this was 10 times the level of joke that those results were. And I thought that it was amusing to watch the commentators on NBC trying to keep their jobs and explain what happened at the same time. It was just, looking back and being absent from it and sitting back, it's hilarious. I really think what happened.
Ashley looked embarrassed.
I think she had a right to look
that?
embarrassed.
Yeah. Say whatever the heck you want to say, because we're going to go there.
She looked mortified that she won a title that she didn't earn. There you go. I mean, she knew she had 2 major falls smack in the middle of her program. I mean, she picked it up at the end, but recovering, it's like that doesn't count as much as, I don't know, not having your ass touch the ice.
I'm sorry, but when you fail on a math test and you get 7 problems wrong in the middle of it, your teacher then doesn't go give you an A at the bottom and be like, you came together really well at the end. Congratulations to you. They're like, no, that was bad. You missed 7 elements there.
Well, okay.
Go work harder.
Here, all right, I have a question for you, Tim, because I posted this on my Facebook and people wrote all these comments, and I'm going to read some of them. And one commenter said, Ashley deserved to win. She skated circles around Gracie. Ashley can skate. Gracie just has jumped. She'll be a wonderful skater one day, but she doesn't match Ashley or the other ladies in actual skating. So I was looking at the protocol, the interpretation of their program. Ashley got 8.46. Gracie got 7.5. So Tim, what do you take of that? Because as a skater, if you fall twice in a program, that's going to affect your interpretation. You're not supposed to fall in that program. It's going to affect the overall all presentation. Do you agree?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's the same scenario when we've all seen events where someone will go out and fall down under the old system, and they would get a 6.0 for artistic. And we're going, but they fell down. It wasn't a perfect program. When you have... Ashley was not on her A game last night. The program was a little tight. She was a little bit slow. And she made some pretty major mistakes. And I personally feel that detracted from the performance. I've seen her do that program a couple times this season, and she definitely has not posted component scores like that at previous events where she skated far better.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little bit... I don't care how good of a skater you are when you make multiple mistakes, when you're a little bit tight, when you're a little bit slow. And like you could tell from the minute she got on the ice that she was tight and she was a little bit slow. That's frankly that's why she missed.
Yeah, and she's it's understandable. She's trying to defend her title, but
exactly. It detracts from the performance. I know as an athlete that performances where I stood up the entire time, I feel like I performed them better because I wasn't going, oh crap, there's 2 more minutes of this. It changes the way you perform the program. There's no way around it. And I don't think many former elite athletes would argue with that. I mean, it would be one thing if she had made one mistake or the program was just tight. Mm-hmm. But there was a lot going on. Like her spins weren't the same quality that they normally are. It just wasn't her night. And you know what? That's fine. But like, she had some of the highest component scores that she got the entire season, and she's skated that program much better this season.
Well, I think we need to be real about how good of a skater she is to get these component scores, to get these 8.5s. On the Grand Prix, she got kind of a 7.75 level of component mark. It was between like a 7.7 and a 7.9. And she made 2 mistakes there as well, and those were, frankly, a little bit generous as well for that performance. And I think the thing with her is that she's almost the best from the rest on a good day.
She's consistent.
Yes, but if you have a field of top ladies, if she was competing against the Michelles, Taras, Nicole Bobeks, Sasha Cohens, she would be kind of that 3rd place pewter medalist year in, year out. She's not at that level to get... She's not. I feel strongly that she's not. It's not insulting to her. I think she's a good skater. She's not a great skater. And they're trying to build her up as a great skater because they are so determined to have someone repeat as national champion so that Phil Hirsch doesn't write an article saying there have been no repeat champions. And
I think they do this all the time. But the problem is, as a viewer, you don't understand what they're doing. And I think I was talking to Tim about this earlier. If we go back to the 6.0 system, you can see, all right, the judges gave Gracie a 5.9 for technical, and then say they give Ashley a 5.7. Ridiculously high for how she skated, and then 5.9 for artistry. But at least you can kind of understand it. When it's this 100-point da-da-da-da-da, a number, we don't know what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on. And it's maddening and it's frustrating. And then you go back and you look at the protocol, and there's like 5 things for the interpretation skating skill stuff. That stuff is all subjective anyway. Just do it in one score because you're going to cheat anyway. Sorry, I'm so angry.
And they didn't even give her like a call on her Lutz. Like, did her Lutz magically get on the right edge from the Grand Prix final until last night? Like, it was...
What I don't understand is if you are not landing 2 jumps in your long program, so that means you do not get the base score. You do not get a grade of execution because you didn't execute it, period. So then how is Ashley on top? Is it the short, the weight of the short program? I mean, what is it?
Well, she was 2 points and change ahead in the total combined score. And now, granted, Gracie's short was not good. But the issue that I have is not even that Ashley won so much, but the fact that she was second in the long program when there were at least 4 other programs that were much stronger than hers, frankly. There were a whole bunch of clean triple-triples that were done, and, there were some programs that were clean or almost clean that were scored significantly lower. And I didn't think, personally, that the separation of points in the component scores should have been as great as it was for some of those girls.
In that landscape, though, how does Mirai end up 7?
Right. Were those jumps under-rotated, you guys? Because I say no. I think she didn't skate well, but even then, for her interpretation, she got 6.86 versus Ashley's 8.46.
I thought she got slammed.
Yeah, are they really 2 points difference there? I don't think so.
I don't see it.
Some of her jumps were under. Like, they were. but some of Ashley's were too, and they didn't deduct for that on her mark. So she didn't get
on the interpretation mark. Yeah, it didn't affect her performance, but apparently I think
the judges dumped Mariah last night, and they sent a big message to her that
and Caroline that you guys are done. You had your
you guys
chance
are done.
And you didn't do it.
You had your chance. You're not with Frank Carroll. We're not going to pretend to like you. Like they were saying to Mariah, your career is over. Thanks for playing. Bye. And that it was.
Well, I thought Christina Gao did a really lovely program, and it was very sophisticated, and like
clean
was Ashley's program. The disparity in points, it just didn't make sense to me. I mean, honestly, I thought her program was stronger than Ashley's. I don't think she should have been as low as she was. And if they would have put, if Ashley's components would have been more aligned with what they gave to the other girls, and the rank order for the long program ended up the same, Gracie would have won overall, Ashley would have been second, it would have been the same world team. And I think people would have been much more comfortable with the result. Other than, of course, I think Mariah, who I do feel kind of got slammed.
Really slammed.
But do you guys feel like Ashley's program was some Lyra Angelica moment last night that was worth giving bonuses for?
No, can we talk about the dress? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right, at this point, I'm checking out.
Okay.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
I don't think it looks good on her. I don't think it's tacky. And I feel like the program she's really grown leaps and bounds in terms of her artistry, but she's not some artist. She's not some beautiful skater, and I don't think that we should pretend that she is. I understand rewarding her for her consistency throughout the season, but she is not a Michelle Kwan on the ice, and she's, I think, as artistic as she can be, but the overall package, it's not some beautiful thing to watch her skate.
Miki, you're a Kwan fan. What do you make of Ashley Wagner on the ice?
I do feel that I'm more moved by her work on the ice compared to the field as it exists now. Exactly what you were saying before. If she was, it's the timing factor that worked out so magically for Ashley, because as the superstar ladies were exiting the world stage, she was coming in, and then there was really no one who was up to par. And so now we're seeing this girl who, would have been a off the podium girl, is now being sort of shaped as the next. And she's not giving me as much as Michelle Kwan would have had to give in competing with the field of ladies she had to compete with.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel moved by her. I mean, she's made incredible progress, and compared to the other girls I saw, yes, I mean, there's more emotional connection to the ice. There's more of a sense of an arc of a character, and that I can sense her actually listening to the music. But there's just something missing that I just want to be like. I just want my heart ripped out of my chest when I see a long program, and that's not happening.
What do you think, Dave?
I have so many views on last night that it's all a blur. I think, oh God, last night I just thought Gracie gave the performance, and it maybe wasn't as sophisticated, but she did it. And she actually moved an audience. And they didn't reward that. And I think that it's almost as if when Michelle had a bad skate at Nationals in 97, it was as if we handed her the gold then. The viewer isn't lied to, and if the casual viewer can watch something and say, oh, that's a joke, well then why is someone going to go into skating? Why would someone spend a lot of money to put their kid in a sport that frankly was like Miss America last night, where Ashley's on the podium being like, hi. It was terrible. It was egregious. I think people love a come from behind story. I don't understand the point of holding someone up as a national champion just to have someone be a defending champion, be like, oh, we have a defending champion, all is not lost. She's not going to medal at Worlds unless she pulls something out of her behind with that performance. And frankly, the other girls in the world are much better than her because her technical content isn't that good. They held her up in the short program too. She had a spin that was a disaster in the short that we kind of all overlooked at the end of her program. So maddening that you're using the short to justify why she won when she was kind of held up in the short too. A former champion texted me that she did novice ladies content in the short program. I mean, a triple loop and a triple flip. That's not great. People in 2001 were doing triple Lutz and triple flip. I don't see the progression. I don't see why doing less is suddenly more.
Well, and the whole argument with Dakota Point too is that you can come from behind after the short program, but like you said, people are doing triple loop in their short program because there's going to be an edge change on the triplet. So another poster said, the sport hasn't been fun to watch ever since they switched to Dakota Points. I was an avid fan for 10 years, but when they switched, they lost me, and the beauty of the sport went out the window anyways. I miss those days, but now it's just too hard to follow. And really, that was what I heard so many people say, echoing that sentiment that skating isn't skating anymore. So what do we do to resolve this system? We're going back to lower technical. We saw in the men's event people doing triple toe, like it's a combination because of just messing up. How do we resolve this, you guys?
I'd go to Miki first, I think.
Miki, what do you think the sport needs?
It has to be a lot less complicated. It has to be like when the scores come out and people are sitting there and kiss and cry, I'm sitting there and the skaters are sitting there all like, there's that moment of like, I don't know what's happening. Even when the numbers are there, I'm like, everyone's like sort of shrugging a little bit and I'm shrugging at home. And so if that's what's happening, and I followed skating my entire life and I'm confused, then, I mean, how are we supposed to recruit more people? I mean, even in the short programs, some of the dance programs, I saw all these empty seats, you guys. That is not a good sign for skating. And to make these ridiculous, complicated, scoring algorithms that an audience can't, like, instantly react to the way that we did in the 6.0 days, I mean, you're just asking people to leave skating in droves. So just give me a scoring system that I can actually understand without having like a PhD in mathematics.
I don't know about you, but I would much rather see a Russian judge put someone in 10th and just, it's
fun, yeah.
Syracuse, we don't like you. I'm putting you in 10th in this short program in Salt Lake City. Like, it was mean and it was cheating. It's not any different than what happens now, but at least we could sit there and laugh about it or get mad or, be like that awful Russian joke. Like, it's still the same level of joke. And frankly, it was more entertaining for the viewer. It was hilarious. It was great theater. It's like watching Dancing with the Stars when Carrie Ann Inaba is like the only one who cares that they have lips in their dance. And she's yelling about it's like the Russian judge is the only one who cared that all of Sarah Hughes's jumps were cheated. It was great, and I think that is, if you have people that were avid viewers who are kind of holding back, there are still some people who seem last night to kind of trying to be justifying the results and be convincing themselves, this is why I still watch skating. Like, that last night was okay. And then there are other people who are outraged. And it feels like there's a level of denial going on. And I think that we're trying to produce a show where we have former skaters and, recent competitors talking about the sport. And one thing that we've really had problems with is that every single skater that we have contacted for an interview has said, please don't ask me about current skating. I don't watch. I don't have an interest.
So true.
One men's champion had to give him names, people to watch before. I mean, no one knows. We have people who are commentators being like, I'm just done. Like, I'm done. I don't think I'm the right person for the show. Like, I'm done with it. Well, if every single person that we try to ask, like, so do you still watch skating? And try to be like,
We interviewed Debbie Thomas on Friday. She didn't even know nationals were going on. Nobody knows. And I think part of that, too, transitioning here, is the coverage. It's not on TV anymore. We have to pay Ice Network to watch it. So what did you guys think about the coverage? What do you think about the commentators? Let's get into that. Miki, why don't you start?
I loved, like, it was sort of like maybe 20 minutes, maybe halfway through the evening, where Scott and Sandra were saying, like, we're seeing a great night of skating. And I'm like, okay, so that's the criteria of a great night of skating at this point, is that no asses have touched ice at this point. Like, that's all. People just need to stay upright. That's a great night of skating. I mean, I was just like, are you kidding me? Because in the Scott Hamilton days, I mean, you really had to put on a show. And I feel like it's just so, I mean, and Scott, it's such a tough thing because he loves skating so much, and he has to like give you that enthusiasm, even though, you know, he really just wants to like, you know, sit back and have a drink and like just, you know, turn it off and like watch, you know, Real Housewives.
Well, I think it's funny that NBC is clearly phoning it in. And, you know, like last night, they're grasping for anything. They're like, this is just, like, I would love to have seen the commentators' faces when the marks came in last night and have, like, what did Scott say to Sandra? Like, what were their faces to one another? They're just like, she had a pretty dress. Like, it was, you know, like, it was.
They should have a post show like they used to have, like, after Oprah.
Yeah.
They should have a show called Cover the Mic.
Yeah.
And it's just, they just show you what they said when they covered the mic.
I want to know what Sandra Beswick's face was like. And I also want to know if she's actually sitting there sipping a glass of wine, because it sounds like she is when she's, well, Ashley is a wonderful girl, you know, like, and
Yeah.
I'm just more amused by watching them. Like, the coverage was crazy. I love how they used to, for years, they had these fluff pieces where the athletes would be driving. And I think that they reached their max at that point when Johnny Weir had Christina Aguilera on in the car. And then they're like, we need to do something differently. Like, this is not working. And so now they have this thing where the skaters actually are like hiking in the woods in Ugg boots. Now, Jenny Kirk actually made that mistake recently of hiking in Ugg boots.
I totally did. 5-mile hike, Ugg boots will give you a bubble blister, like the biggest bubble blister you've ever seen on your heel, and you will not be able to walk for 2 weeks. It will be.
Well, Gracie was pulling a Jenny Kirk last night, but her Uggs were glittery and gold because NBC is just dying to have her win in Sochi so that they can be like, gold is golden, you know? And they're like, and it's so corny and cheesy, and it's like a fifth grader trying to be the editor of a newspaper is what's going on here with this coverage. Like, these people, these people are phoning it in. David Michaels needs to retire. I'm sorry, get someone in there who can just. It's like everyone is happy to have their jobs, so everyone's trying just to keep the status quo. Like, Scott and Sandra are sitting there being like, we used to commentate a lot and make a lot of money in skating, and now we get these few things a year. And when you see these past champions on Ice Network, like Tanya Kwiatkowski or Sarah Hughes, like, they don't have the option to make money doing anything else. Like, there are no shows. No one is paying to see Sarah Hughes not do any jumps on tour anymore. So no one is really watching skating. This is all their financial outlet, and frankly, it's given the federation more power. So now it's like this amazing abusive relationship to watch on television and in the broadcast, where they're not going to say anything scandalous. Everyone is just going to pretend like skating is great. Puffs is our sponsor. We are so happy.
That kiss and cry is not cute. Like, I like the little like kiss cry, the little lipstick marks. That was cute, but I feel like there is a pink elephant in the room. You know, the world is falling apart, and everyone's just sitting there smiling, being like, la da 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 da, nothing's going on. Like, this sport is falling apart. We need to fix it. And what did you guys think of NBC's new Terry? My favorite part was when he said, "Don't mess up in the short program." She didn't, though she did fall on her double axel. Like, the guy didn't know what he was talking about. It just echoes again what this new system is, that what is bad, what is good. Is that a bad thing to fall on your double axel in the short program? Or now it's okay. You can still get second at nationals. It infuriates me.
Right. So like if the 6.0 system was confusing and corrupt, and then we went through this laborious, like, you know, birthing process of the interim judging system, and then finally we got this whole point thing going on, and it's still just as corrupt and confusing.
Exactly.
So why should we change?
I thought it was more. Frankly,
do
like
too.
I always like I used to do these things where like my Playmobil people would be skaters because they had like the little skates on them on the bottom. And you would write marks, and like there was always like a British judge who would give them like ridiculous marks and be like, she skated like Surya, like that was just like and frankly, like it's just bogus. Like the whole thing is like I think that they cheat more. I think that now they have an excuse because they can almost like pretend to quantify it and they don't have to give their names anyway. And frankly, they could deem you a bad skater now much easier than if they just gave you like a 5.5 before for artistic when you did a clean program.
Because now there's like 5 different marks where they can say, well, your choreography was great, but your skating's like it's become even more subjective.
Like they don't mean anything. Like Miki said, they just like threw some numbers down. Like it was nothing that reflected what they did on the ice. So
they were like, let's draw straws. I don't know what happened, but
it's almost like creative writing. It's like when you're like I think we all feel liberated in a creative writing course after like years of academic writing and taking AP classes where you have to write the essay for the same way for the test and then you get to do creative writing. That's almost what the new system is for these judges. They're like able to sit there and be like, well, I think her skating skills were a 5.5. Like it's absolutely out of control.
But conversely, for the skaters, it's way more like this rigid essay system, where now because they think that they're adhering to this, that they're like a slave to these points. It's like everybody's program starts looking cookie cutter, and every girl is going to do the layback to the haircut or to the Beelman, and it's like every spin looks exactly the same because they know they have to hit these 3 positions and rack up those points. And then it's like, well, then what's the whole point of picking different music and having different costumes? Everyone can wear, the Hillary Clinton blue, whatever those 2 dresses were, that was like hideous blue color that I can't stand. But it was just like everyone wears the Hillary Clinton pantsuit blue color.
Well, there's definitely
Turando, fine.
Yeah, like I just love that like all the girls in the short program on Ice Network, and I was having a moment where they were all clearly they're training too much that they don't have boyfriends. Like, let's be honest. Like, they don't have time for that. Yet they were all skating to Tango de Roxanne, and they don't have the life experience to pull off a tango. They don't know what this is about. Frankly, it was background music. Like, and you have to do a spin for so long that, like, right when you get into the program, then they're going to try to do these level 4 spins. And you see, like, the lower level girls, like, they can't do the spins like that. Like, they're not that good. And it just is, like, 30 seconds of dead air where everyone is just kind of sitting being like, she's still spinning, and it's terrible, and I'm lost.
I think so much of why we love skating in the early 90s is we fell in love with the personalities of the skaters. They would come out on the ice. You could do, a long spread eagle like Paul Wiley did or a Nancy Kerrigan spiral. You can't do that now, so we can't even fall in love with these skaters because they all look so generic. There's nothing unique about any of them. And it's just frustrating for viewers, I think, to really feel like they can, grasp onto one of these skaters.
The spirals are like, and I'm done.
And I'm going to kick my leg out way to the side and make it the ugliest thing ever, but that's the one that's going to get the most points when, like, you have, like, it's ugly. It's not aesthetically pleasing shot. It's just, you shouldn't do it. But you have to because you have to
here's my crotch. What do you think? Here's my crotch. It's like...
Do you think that if skating keeps the way it's going, like, we're not even on cable TV anymore. We're not even on local access. We're on like USFSA sponsored internet. Like,
that we have to pay to watch.
Yes, we're just giving more money to the federation. I think they must love it. Like, I don't think that the USFS seems to really care that they're not on TV because now we have to pay them to watch their crap. So it's like, again, this like abusive relationship system. So I think that...
And I have to say, we all love the skaters. Like, from what I could see last night, from what people were writing on Facebook and Twitter, we love skaters. We love the sport. I love Ashley Wagner. Like, I think I really do respect
she has a great fight personality.
Yeah, I really respect that she's consistent. I think she will be great for U.S. skaters. So I don't want U.S. skating, so I don't want people to think that we're knocking on the skaters, but it's hard not to when it's run so poorly. And it creates such anger within so many fans because these skaters work so hard. Like, you guys... would you put in all this effort if there weren't tours? You're not going to make any money. You're not on television. Obviously, you love the sport, but why do it? Like, you have to ask yourself that question.
Well, the incentive is definitely, I mean, it's not what it was. And even if you, say, make it to the Olympics, you're still dealing with, okay, then what? I mean, you're asking these young girls and their entire families to put every penny they have ever earned on the line to get the skates, to get the boots, to get the costume, to get the choreographer, to get the coach, to get the rink time. I mean, it's like, it's a huge sacrifice. And then when you're like, when you're really, you're gonna sacrifice your entire childhood for this. It's like you need to have, you know, the guarantee that there's going to be X number of incentives to continue on with the sport. I mean, you could win titles, but then how are you going to earn a living with no skating shows?
Right.
And frankly, you're giving up your education to be in skating. Like, let's be really honest. There are really a few. Unless you can use the fact that you're a top skater to then, like, let you struggle in an Ivy to be in school, like, you're probably not going to be keeping up with your classmates as much. Like, let's be honest, when you have to spend 8 hours on the ice and you're too tired to read War and Peace. Like, like, this is not a viable option. It's bad parenting.
How true do you think it is when they say stuff like, oh, and she's a sophomore at Harvard? Like, do you think she's, like, maybe taking one class?
I think it's unique to the person. I don't know. But
there's a range.
Yeah.
There's a range. And they never tell us how many credits they're taking. I remember last year there was a lot of flack because they told us that Rachel Flatt was taking Zumba, and people made all sorts of jokes for a wide variety of reasons. And it was, I think they went away from that this year. Like, they don't tell us what the skaters are taking. Like, are they all criminal justice majors, like NCAA athletes, where like the entire football team is in like sociology 112, sitting there, and
I think part of the problem is too, really the wide audience, and even some of these commentators on NBC, they only see these skaters once a year at nationals. So we don't have time to really feel like we get to know these skaters. And a 30-minute fluff piece of somebody hiking in their Ugg boots, that can only say so much about this individual. So because skating isn't on TV so much of these commentators,
have a huge ass blister.
Yeah, like, we don't know these people. And I think that it's like, so they have to just say whatever talking point they can, but sometimes maybe it's not even, as a skater, I know, they would say stuff about me, and that's not true. Where did they get this stuff?
You were the girl whose mom died, and that was pretty much it. Like, you were...
Rachel Flatt was the AP student. I was the girl who lived with my sister. P.S. When we go into costumes, which I want to transition to next, my sister had a lot to say about that. She was really upset.
Let's go into it, because I'm a gay man, and this is where you pique my interest. So, like...
Okay, Dave, so your takes on the overall costumes, what we've seen so far at the championships. Go.
Well, I thought that Ashley Wagner was really doing well for the short program. I know that they had some ridiculous theme that no one got, like that she's supposed to be. Tanya Kwiatkowski had this.
They
great...
were the strings on her back.
Straps, the violin, yeah.
Her program was supposed to represent a violin. Ashley was supposed to be skating as a violin over the course of 5 centuries when she was performing to the red violin. And except for how boring watching skating actually is, I didn't get the 5 centuries. Like, I was just being like, why go there? Like, why even make that hilarious joke that this is some, like...
Dave really wanted to see some old age makeup at the end.
I really did.
Going through the centuries, yeah.
It felt like it was as long as watching Russell Crowe, like, finally die in Les Miserables. Like, when you're watching this...
That was a good movie. I like that movie.
But it was just, like... I thought she was doing well for the costume in the short.
Good short program costume. Any others?
But then she just lost it in the long. Like, it was symbolic of her skating. Like her long program, the dress also just tanked. If you're that white and pale, you can't wear that yellow color that looks like what happens in the morning after a night of heavy drinking and dehydration. Like, you just can't, you cannot do that. Why put yourself in that on the ice? Like, you're not Asian. You're not Serena Williams. You can't pull off that color. Like, I'm sorry.
It's
no,
orange.
Honey.
Yellow, or it's not cute.
And she probably paid a lot of money for that very ugly dress. Like, that is...
So, Dave, nominee for Best Dressed at this championship.
I really liked Samantha Cesario, and I really like that girl that looks like Jenny Kirk, that Becky Bearswell. Her long program dress looked like one of the Capizio dresses that Jenny used to wear, just like in a different color. I thought she looked good. I like Samantha Cesario in the short. The long, there were a lot of comments. Some people loved her Swan Lake dress, some people didn't. As far as worst dress, I have to go with Agnes. I just don't know what this girl is wearing. I don't know if she's buying these dresses that they like sell in the rack at local skating competitions, like when you compete at Liberty and the dressmaker is there, but they are just, the dresses are wrong. And like, this is your presentation of who you are for the world. And frankly, this is your moment in the sun. Like, these dresses are going to come back to haunt you when you're 50 years old. People are going to be like, what were you thinking? And like, it wasn't cute then, and it's not going to be cute in 50 years. So
okay, the thing about Agnes, if you do the smoky eye, go for it. Looked good. But then don't try to complement that with really dark lipstick. And she's so pale and her hair is so blonde, it's just going to completely wash her out. So someone needed to change her makeup. All right.
It was too gaudy.
Yeah, too gaudy. Mickey, you're up.
My favorite costume was Angela Wang's lavender. Like that.
Beautiful.
yes.
I really like that. It was just a perfect color. Like, on television, you just never know how something's going to photograph. Some dress could look really, really. It could look like this. The sequins can look really cheap up close, but then you see it on camera and it's stunning. You know, or I mean, she really struck the right tone with that beautiful, beautiful lavender. I wasn't so crazy about Ashley Payne's white costume. I think that was one of the ones with the built-in necklace. Here's the thing with the built-in necklace, okay? There are times when it can work. Kim Yuna, wait, which one is her first name? Yuna is her first name, correct?
I'm confused because they told us it was Yuna Kim for years, and now it's Kim Yuna. Sometimes there's a hyphen, sometimes there's not.
It's like Liu Chen versus Chen Liu.
Chen Liu. Just, I avoid saying her name completely. You know.
I think we should just call her Kim Jong Un from now on. I think she should just rule all of Korea. But anyway, so
I think she does. But
sometimes the built-in necklace can work. I have to admit. But not so much here. Hannah Miller? Is that just her name? She had a purple costume as well, but she had the crap hanging off of the sleeves. No, don't like that.
No.
I mean, that belongs in Les Mis and nowhere else. Okay? I have to hate the Hillary Clinton cobalt blue. It just looks like a pantsuit.
And how about the matching eyeshadow? Tim was watching last night, and he was saying that your eyeshadow should not look like it came off of a pool cue. You know, like, it just should not be that color. It's never a good look. Like, it just
rubbing a pool cue on your eye.
Like, oh shoot, I have no time to put on my makeup. Let me just, here's these balls.
Least favorite costume, I think. I didn't like Samantha Azar. Is it Arzaro?
Cesario.
Cesario.
Her long program, the black.
I felt
with
like
the hands grabbing the boobs.
They looked like hands grabbing the boobs. I was like, what is happening? And then the side was all like unfinished. It just looked like, and we're not going to do the sides. It was just, I don't like it. She had this, it just looked like Elvira decided to start adult skating. I didn't care for it.
All right, and my best dress. Okay, first of all, I really like the Shibutanis, their free dance. I thought it just was really classy. It was age appropriate. It made her look more mature. My brother-in-law walked into the room when they were skating and just said, even him, like not a skating fan at all, thought they looked amazing. Also, really liked Christina Gao. I think her short and her long program in particular, the black with she had the dark lipstick. She's a gorgeous girl. I thought just completely best dressed overall for the championships. Worst dressed? Okay, a few things I have to go into. First, if you are going to wear flesh tone, it has to match your skin. I understand that skaters get their costumes made in the summer and we all have this problem, you have a tan, but do not have dark brown flesh and then you're really white. It doesn't look good. In so many of these costumes, they don't even need to have flesh. Just have an extra strap in the back, have some spaghetti straps. So really, Ashley Kane in the short program, she had really bad flesh and it just drove me crazy. Conversely, in the short program, Gracie Gold had flesh, matched her skin perfectly, good for her. Second thing that I really hate is gloves. I understand some skaters have to wear them because they practice in it and it feels really good, but the Jeremy Abbott glove in in his short program, he didn't need it, didn't add anything to it. Do not wear gloves. It cuts off the line. It makes you look like you're Russian. It's not cute. Don't do it. And over the boot tights. This is not 2001. Like, we went through that phase, the late 90s, the early 2000s. It's 2013. Wear white skates, polish them. And this is what my sister was saying. Okay, I was watching the free dance yesterday. These women, I understand you want to wear your hair down like Meryl. Who's that other beautiful girl from Michigan that got second?
Tessa?
No, Madison Chalk.
Madison Chalk. Beautiful, beautiful. I have to get into her dress. That white dress was not okay. But you know, you want to wear your hair down like the wispies. It's called hairspray. That one girl had a rip in her tights. Like, this is nationals. Polish your skates. Do not have a heart on your skate. Like, it looks like it's dirty. Polish it. Steam your dress. And if you're gonna wear a dress, don't wear a practice dress. That white dress from Madison, it was 2 sizes too small on her. There were no sparkles that you could see from far away. It didn't look good. What was this thing around her neck? Like, dress up. This is nationals. Like, you have to look put together. That was really a big pet peeve. So the gloves, the over the boot tights, and the flesh color.
I think that Meryl Davis just deserves a Lifetime Achievement Award for just looking great and classy and always having an expensive looking dress. I feel like Jenny probably didn't like it. I
hated the ponytail.
I hate the short dress. The Giselle looks really cheap looking.
It looks like a dance recital dress.
But like a bad dance recital. Like, she wasn't performing with ABT. It was kind of held in the high school gym. But I think, you know, like,
and the ponytail.
I was at dance recitals at the high school gym. I can say that, okay? But like, I think that Meryl always looks classy and like she holds it together and she always is consistent. And I think like Jeremy Abbott's her close friend. Like, she needs to tell him that when you wear gloves like that, like, you look like Katie Lang. Like, if you were wearing a tuxedo, you know, like, that's just...
It really does look Russian. And I do always think of Plushenko when I see anyone in the gloves, even if it's a lady skater. And I do not get, is it that their fingers are literally cold? I think
it's a textural thing. I don't know if they're... Yeah, I agree. I don't know if they're used to...
Because you practice with gloves on. So because you practice with gloves on to wipe the snot is first of all. That's why the gloves are there. But second of all...
But I'm sorry. If you can't do a triple Lutz without gloves on, you don't deserve to be at nationals. Like, come on. Do the gloves really add that much to, like, your rotation and pulling in?
I just think it's like an OCD thing. Like, you don't want to change your feeling. And I don't know.
So you have to do your run with the gloves off. Everyone knows.
Yeah, you have to practice your jump with the gloves off. You know,
You have to do run through. You have to do something with the gloves off.
All I hear is muffling. What did he say?
Tim is just saying that he always would run through his programs with his gloves off, and that he makes his kids do it.
You can't compete with gloves.
You cannot compete with gloves. It's absurd. Tim is saying it's absurd. So
It's absurd. It looks hideous. And I also hate when they don't do the gloves, but then they have, so their costume ends, and then there's arm, and then there's like a weird cuff. What is that?
What is that? Or they have the thing that goes around the middle finger and just a little bit of like sequins here. Because, you know, we all wear that every day on our hands. We have like some weird lace on our hand.
Is it like a wrist corsage? What's going on?
Going to the prom?
The cheapest looking dresses, always what Miki was talking about, they have like a really off pastel colored bodice. And then the arms are always that Lauren Sheehan, like Nicole Bobek dress that always had like the fake flesh tone that doesn't match your skin. And then you have rhinestones on it, which basically look like arm pimples in HD. Like, it looks like you need Proactive on your arms. It's not an attractive look. No one's arms sparkle like that. They don't. Like, it's
They don't. Okay, guys, so let's wrap things up here. Final thought. We're going to start with you, Miki. Final thought of what you saw throughout the week last night.
I need me some. I just have to. We just need to like between the three of us, we need to somehow give birth to better skaters and wait like 16 years. That's our only option.
I think, honestly, at this point, the best thing that could happen to skating would be to put on C-SPAN, you know, like, so that no one is...
So we put it like with like Senate confirmation hearings, and we're just like,
Yes. Like I think that they could vote like how they vote in the Senate. Like that's basically how interesting skating is to watch right now. And I think like at least politics is interesting. You could see like Nancy Pelosi like working, like skating. It's dead. And I think maybe it needs to die before things will change because everyone is trying to act like the sky isn't falling, and I think the sky already fell, and it's just plummeting further. You know, like it's
addiction where you have to hit rock bottom, right?
But like skating, it's not even addiction hitting rock bottom. Like it's on a Lindsay Lohan crash course where like I thought we had hit bottom 7 times ago. Like I thought that we had hit bottom, girl. Like and I think that's the state of skating. Like it hit bottom. It's bouncing. It did Liz and Dick, and people then saw it, and it was bouncing further. It's so
digging even further. Just digging.
Well, my final thought is that if the skaters who spent their lives devoting to training, for a sport like this, aren't even bothering to see shows that don't exist, and aren't interested, why should anyone else be? If the people who spent their lives dedicating themselves to this sport don't care and have given up, why should anyone else pretend otherwise?
I completely agree, and I think my thought is, as a skater, my heart goes out to these guys because it's so hard to train all season and to work so hard and to feel like people are laughing at your sport. They're laughing at what you do, that it's not appreciated. And the skaters still have it. It's still there. They're still working. But this new system, it continues to knock them down. It's impossible to really gain momentum with this system. So I think we have to go back to 6.0 or something more similar to that. We need to know who these judges are. We need to have judge number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or if you're at international competition, USA judge. That's part of the fun of the sport. Go back to the 6.0. Take out all these contortionist, acrobatic stuff. Let skaters skate. The skaters work so hard. Bring back some money. Let's find out their personalities. Let's get on board on who these skaters are. Get skating back on TV. And I really think that it goes down to U.S. figure skating. They need to fight. The ISU, they need to start to push back for the 6.0 system. They need to be advocates for their athletes. They need to get us out there, let us know. And don't charge us to watch figure skating on Ice Network. It really bothers me.
They should be paying us at the end of the day to watch a live. No, it's not. There's no audience, so why pay? I
agree. And there's so many fans. We still love the sport. The sport is beautiful, but
I think what's hilarious is that I have a friend who works for Prudential, and they are now sponsoring figure skating. And he sits in the meetings, and he doesn't let them know that he's a huge skating fanatic and has for years because he likes to just listen to them. And they think that Prudential chose to, apparently, allegedly, this story, Kathy Griffin allegedly, they chose to sponsor skating because they think that it has a widespread African American audience, which I think is just
what?
So they think that black people really like figure skating. So
we just interviewed Debbie, and it did not. Her opinions did not coincide with that. That's interesting.
I think it's very interesting. Why would someone choose to sponsor figure skating? I remember one year, Cancer.net sponsored Skate America, and I just referred to it as Cancerous Skate America because it was just that bad. It was the pits. So
well, I think this is a conversation that unfortunately we're probably going to continue to have leading up to the games next year. But Miki, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was so fun.
This is fun. And thank you guys for tuning in, watching the skating lesson. We'll be back later this week. We're going to post our Debbie Thomas interview, which we conducted last Friday, so you can look for that. Hope you guys enjoyed the competition, enjoyed the men today. We can't wait to watch it. We'll be tweeting up a storm. And thank you to Kevin Kwasniewski for our amazing graphics. And you can always find... Yeah, I just keep talking. Cut in, because I was waiting for you to cut in, Dave. So go cut in.
Thanks for everyone for watching. I think we're all just a little bit spent today, but as always, we'd like to remind you to hold an edge.
You can join me on this, Miki.
And look sexy. Bye, guys.
Bye.